Om Sri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. 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 Om Sri Ram Jai. Om Sri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Sri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Om 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 Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. Pranam, pranam. Hari Om, Hari Om. Hari Om, pranam. Yes, Hari Om, Hari Om. Yesterday we were discussing about the preparatory measures as well as points that are to be pondered on simultaneously. And then we enter into the next 8, that is sadhana. The first item in the sadhana is mind space to be filled with Him only. At the moment, our mind space is filled with all comfort zones. Whereas in the first chapter itself, we, in quest of God, for the sake of those who are attending for the first time today, In Quest of God is the first book written by our master, Papa. When God made him to leave everything and to solely rely upon him. It was in 1922, on 27th December, he took that great plunge. For a year he was away, and later on after he came back and he was staying in a cave called Panchapandava cave in Mangalore, near that Yogi Mutt. He wrote this first book, which is entitled In Quest of God. Normally it will be treated as a travelogue of a spiritual aspirant or a realizer. We also initially thought that it was the experiences which he gained when Vittal Rao, his Purvashram name, when he the transition between Vittal Rao and Swami Ramdas. But later on, as we are now entering into the centenary year, it was in 1922, we are in 2022, when the prompting came for us to do something during the centenary year. He motivated us to take up In Quest of God for an in-depth study. And that in-depth study reveals now that it is no longer a travelogue, but it is a life manual for you and us. So when we started exploring what has not been understood by us so far, chapter by chapter we went through twice, thrice, 4 times, 5 times. And then certain observations, revelations came out. And finally now it is getting into a shape of 32 points, under 4 categories. First category is preparatory measure. Second category is to ponder simultaneously on certain points. Third is sadhana, and fourth is daily practice. So in the first chapter of In Quest of God, when we go through that, we were able to find out that he was able to remember more of him because his mind space got cleared exclusively for him. Normally even suppose we are coming here, what weighs us more is the comfort zones, whether the electricity is there, whether the fan is there, whether the light is there, or when we move to a place, what comes before us is the comfort zones. And it has certainly occupied our mind, so naturally space for God is limited. Plus our various preoccupations, our desires, our cravings, our infatuations, our ambitions, all these put together, it occupies our mind space. That means in a nutshell we can call it as me and mine. Whereas when Papa undertook this, he was able to bring it out to the barest minimum. So in our case, what are we to do? We are conditioned by our comfort zones, we cannot leave it. So we can reduce as Peace Pilgrim, another highly spiritually evolved soul, wrote in her book, unnecessary possessions are unnecessary burdens. So we try to evaluate whether we are leading a need-based life or a desire-based life. When we see an advertisement and when we would like to have it, whether it is needed or not. We may use it for a couple of days and then keep it there. No? It occupies our space. And then to protect it, preserve it, maintain it, that becomes another struggle. Unknowingly, all these things are taking place in all of us, with the final result that the mind space is fully occupied by things other than God. So Papa clearly mentions here that a simple living habit, if we try to practice, if we try to minimize our dependence on these comforts and luxuries, we agree it is relative. Each one has to define what is a necessity, what is a comfort, what is luxury. Because it changes from person to person. But if one has got that clarity, that I should be able to manage with the necessities, which I have defined, that is all right. Then to that extent, the mind is free now. In Papa's case, by God's grace, he was able to see only two things in the world. One is the sense of individuality in the form of a thought, and the other is Ram. None else. All objects, all individuals, all situations, all emotions, everything was Ram and Ram only. Ram means that mysterious, subtle and mysterious power. So our mind is full of thoughts concerning persons, objects, emotions, thoughts. In other words, otherness. Whereas when Papa embarked upon the spiritual journey as prompted by God, there were only two aspects. One is the sense of individuality, Ramdas, and the other is Ram, who is behind the sense of individuality and the outer world. If we are to achieve this state, we have to reduce our dependence on comfort zones, and giving space to others. There are many methods by which comfort, the mind space can be made available for God thought. Because we first try to analyze what is God. What do I mean by God? So when we start getting clarity on the word God, it might remain at the intellectual level, academic level. But gradually it may become an experience. For example, when we were told that the heart beats 1 lakh times a day, on which we have no control, because of which we exist. Or when the doctor says that 6 liters of blood travels through 1,20,000 kilometers in our body, and that is why from head to foot my body is in a position to act. Or when somebody says when we breathe oxygen, it automatically pushes out excess of carbon dioxide without even our knowledge. They also tell us that in 1 second, 1.2 million of red blood cells are born for the equal number that die in every second. So these things are not done by us. It's a simple common sense Point. Without which I cannot exist. So that power, because of which the heart beats, the blood circulates, the digestion, doctor also says, when we eat, what is needed for the blood, what is needed for the bone, what is needed for the body structure, that is immediately sorted out, in the factory. And whatever is left out is pushed out in the form of stools and urine. And such a wonderful mechanism is going on. Which power is doing it? So we are trying to slowly realize the presence of that power. This will help us to get more and more space for these thoughts. The more we become introvert, the more space becomes available for such things. Because at that particular moment, no objects, no persons, no situation occupy our mind space. So when we try to habituate on thinking on these things, naturally there will be space for that. So clarity on the word, and also another aspect is bounteous gifts. I keep on reminding me about the bounteous gift given to me right from the moment I am born till this moment. How he has provided the air for all of us. In total disregard to the increase in population. Normally we cook for 50 people, another 10-15 people we may manage, but another 50 people come, we have to tell them to wait, We will not be able to manage with the available thing. But here, when India became free, it was 36 crores, now it is 140 crores. Excepting during this corona, we have not heard anybody dying of oxygen, It is available. When I die or when I am born, it is equal. Think about it. So in what all he has given, the air to breathe, the water to drink, the earth on which we stand, the space in which we move about, the 98.4 degree temperature that keeps me alive, the sun, metals, minerals, gases, pulses, fruits, vegetables. So when we start thinking about the bounteous gifts that power has been giving, when he gave me this body, apart from listing a few which we repeated now, there are about 200 odd organs in our body functioning beautifully, So when we start thinking about all these, the mind space gets more and more on him. So our origin, that will help us. When we try to, that's why Papa used to say, try to go to the origin of your and the world life. These are some of the methods by which the mind space can be freed from other things, so that it is made available for God thought, God dimension. Going deep, deep, deep into it. Nothing is irrelevant, nothing is unimportant, nothing is insignificant. Because we try to go to the source, to the source, to the source. So these are all some of the methods by which we find the mind space. And then gradually we, Papa, through IQG, In Quest of God, tells us, that when the mind space is almost given to him, then the onus of our life, The onus of experiencing his presence will be on him. We don't have to struggle. So he was made to deny so many things for him. He was made to go deeper inside, inward journey. And reliance on him became more and more, not on any other external factor. Reliance on him, the indwelling reality, not on any external factor. You gave me a human birth. You provided everything to me. You have been providing everything to me. When that be the case, why are you not making me aware of your presence? This cry, this urge to feel his presence clears off many things in our mind. Initially, it will be coming and going. Later on, it will go very stabilized. The moment we hear in Satsang, that will occupy our mind. When we go out, we may forget. But repeatedly, when we do this, when the mind gets habituated on dwelling on these things on a sustaining basis, there will be a samskara, there will be a, vasana there, positive vasana. Repeated performance leave a dent. So here, by the word dent, what is meant is the impact. So these are all some of the methods by which mind space to be filled with God thought. When we step out, even when we are sitting, we can see the building. Suddenly we can try, when there is no building, you brought out, when there is no electricity, you brought out. You, through your own chosen instruments, made them to discover, invent, innovate, and then give it to everybody. Even these gadgets, mic or table or chair, laptop, anything. And then when we step out, we see different types of plants, flowers, trees. Then we try to go through it again and again. Where from this first one would have come? So our sadhana, this becomes a part of our life. Just like, early morning when you get up, we go to we take our brush and go to the wash basin and brush the teeth, And then when we go to the bathroom and take our bath, we go to the lavatory, we go to dress ourselves, we have our food. Like that, it should become a part of our life. So constantly thinking about the mind, making available the mind space for God thought, this should become a part of our life. So again, to recap, first is we try to lead a simple life, simple living habits, as far as possible relying on need-based life rather than on desire-based life. Second thing is remembering the origin, where from we have come. Remembering the bounteous gifts He has given till this moment. And even here, He does not expect us to recognize or express our appreciation. Nothing. Even if we deny, if we ignore Him, He will not bother, He will not stop giving. So we try, by doing all these exercises, to a very great extent, we may be able to keep our mind space. Along with it, of course, our prayer. His grace. The next point is connecting to the core of our being should precede or go along with chanting. The moment we come to this ashram, the mainstay is chanting of God's name. Even when we take up in quest of God, most of his time was filled with chanting of his name. But the difference between his chanting and our chanting, we are trying to find out. We have been chanting for decades now, where are we? Whereas he was intensely chanting only for a couple of years and he could reach the summit. Then he says that chanting should go along with or precede anything that connects us to him, which is called meditation. So the easiest method he has prescribed is, while chanting, keep on remembering that you are chanting the name of one who is within in the form of life force and who is making you to chant. If the life is not there, I will not be able to chant. I will be a dead body. So he says, meditation is purely a mental discipline of thought. The concentrated thought is continuously made to dwell upon the glorious attributes of God. Here also we think about the attributes, You are all pervading, you are omnipotent, omnipresent, omniscient. You are love, you are compassion. Like that, we keep on reminding ourselves. You are creativity absolute, you are intelligence absolute, you are awareness absolute. You are with form, you are without form. You are saguna, you are nirguna. You are both and beyond both. Like that, we keep on. That's what Papa wanted. Glorious attribute that he is eternal, omnipresent, all-powerful, all-knowing, changeless, ever-peaceful, blissful truth. The meditation continued with persistency terminates in self-absorption. It gets absorbed into us. It becomes a part of our being. That is a state of superconscious state. Here it must be noted that the sadhaka conceives a craving for solitude or for a place free from the noise and bustle of the workaday world. He adopts a sattvic diet instead of hot, pungent and stale food. The changes that are now observed in him are a substitution of gentleness for harshness, kindness for hate, calmness, and in equal vision and love for attachment and egoism. Humility and sweetness and cheerfulness mark all his thoughts, words and movements. He avoids the society of pleasure seekers of the world, finds solace, peace and joy in the company and service of saints and devotees. Now the one theme of his thought and talk is God and his glories. Simplicity and childlike nature becomes manifest in him. So this meditation, it should go along with or precede. Why we say precede, in Quest of God, in the first chapter you will find, first meditate. How many times you have read? He says, where is relief, where is rest? This was the heart's cry of Ramdas. The cry was heard. And from the great void came the voice, despair not, trust me, thou shalt be free. And this was the voice of Ram. These encouraging words of Ram proved like a plank thrown towards a man struggling for very life in the stormy waves of a raging sea. This great assurance soothed the aching heart of helpless Ramdas, like gentle rain on thirsting earth. Thenceforward, a part of the time that was formerly totally devoted to worldly affairs was taken up for meditation of Ram. Who for that period gave him real peace and relief. Now, we need not immediately jump into the usual concept of meditation, no, sitting and closing our eyes, no. That is also a part of meditation. But here what is meant is dwelling on his attributes. So meditation comes first. The more Ramdas meditated on and uttered his name, otherwise the risk is what we have found from our experience. Initially with all faith and devotion we start chanting. Later on slowly it slips into a mechanical, lip level, ritualistic form of chanting. The impact becomes less and less and less. The joy we get during the chanting gets stopped immediately after the chanting stops. So that is why Papa is making it very clear in so many words that chanting should be either preceded by or accompanied by meditation on the attributes, dwelling on the attributes. Even at the time of adopting sannyas, beloved Papa's first vow was, this life be henceforth entirely consecrated to meditation and service of Sri Ram. Always thinking and dwelling on Ram, that's all. The traditional form of sannyas was not taken up by Papa. So he was free from all bondages. He was prompted to adopt sannyas for some time, rest for some time. And then, at that time, the vow he took was, hereafter, this life be henceforth entirely consecrated to meditation and service of Ram. We can take it that by meditation he meant dwelling on the reality within and serving his manifestation without. Always dwelling on the reality within and serving his creation in the outside world. A sadhaka should be wide awake, alert, heedful. He should closely watch the movements of his mind to wean it away gradually from the path of ignorance and guide it on the path of knowledge. He should develop a witness consciousness through meditation and self-surrender. It's a state of awareness of the immortal and radiant truth within him. In fact, awareness itself is God realization. Realizing the presence of God. So these are the things to be followed along with chanting. But at the same time, we have also heard Papa telling many devotees complained that when we start chanting, our mind does not get any concentration. At that time, Papa said, concentration or no concentration, chant. So initially, we may not know the background. When we all came to this ashram for the first time, there was no chanting going on in Samadhi Mandir, but chanting was done in Bhajan Hall. It was so nice. That 45 minutes, 11:30 to 12:15, we always crave for that. We may not know anything to discuss, to explain. But there is an inexplicable joy welling up in our heart the moment we hear the Nama chanted in a melodious way, in a soothing way. And after that we are back to square one. So when we come and enjoy and come back and then we start, we said, no, be alert. A sadhaka should be wide awake, alert, heedful. Why that I am, whatever I enjoy, it is not there when I come out of it. That means I have not consciously chanted. Is it due to the fact that I have not consciously chanted? Is it due to the fact that I have not dwelt on what it is, what we are expected to know while chanting? The mind does not get concentrated at all. So then Papa said, don't worry, chant. So we take it that initially it should get habituated. So that after some time we will ask ourselves this question. Again we remember Puja Swamiji asked him for the first time, Papa said, you chant. Suppose I don't get answers for my question. Take it that you have not properly chanted. So that means this chanting should enable us to take to inward journey to clear everything. Meditative chanting we can call it. So let none of us need to think that all the years we have chanted has gone to waste. No. It is because of that chanting, we are asking this question now. And we are trying our level best to do chanting in the way in which it should be chanted, at least hereafter. Papa was from the beginning very clear that the God he was seeking was within and that everything was happening only by his will. This reality got stabilized in him within a short time because of remembering him through chanting of his name ceaselessly and contemplating on his attributes simultaneously. Only by contemplating on him, we will know that he is within. Deho Devalaya Prokta. This is the residence where he stays. Today is the International Day for Yoga, So, while sharing some thoughts on it, we happened to go through all these words. It was from Maitreya Upanishad. He said, this is the center, this is the residence where he stays. So I have to keep the residence pakka. Every day we do that, We clean our house every day. We do the sweeping, dusting, cleaning, everything we do it. Once in a way we change our bed sheets. All vessels when we use, we wash it properly. All these things are doing. We were thinking that it is for our house. Yes, it is our house, but we should know that he is also an indweller. So we have to keep everything in an orderly way. Nothing is irrelevant, nothing is unimportant, nothing is insignificant. Even a doormat we will not ignore. It is serving its own purpose. A tap is serving its own purpose. A commode is serving its own purpose. The gas is serving its own purpose. So everything we recognize now. Previously we were using it. Whenever it is not there, we become upset. We try to get it, that's what we forget about it. Because it is an inert, insentient matter, we never thought that we should develop gratitude towards it. But the moment it is not there or defective, then we understand its relevance in our daily life. So we develop a love, So this body has to be kept up, absolutely right. But at the same time, we should know the indweller. And that is why we are chanting. We have forgotten, we have never trained our mind to remember Him. So the easy way is to, it is not easy way, but relatively easy way is to chant His name. Because for all other things we need so many paraphernalias, Suppose we undertake puja, we undertake this or that. So many dravyas are to be made available. But here nothing else, nothing is necessary. The moment we get up from the bed, we can start this till we retire to bed, wherever we are. Walking, bathing, Papa used to say, cooking, eating. Anyway, any time you can chant. And this chanting is for remembering the indweller. Our mind is wandering in many directions because we repeat the name mechanically. The mind must be attuned to the name of God, and through the name we must attain that inner consciousness or awareness of the divine. We must also feel His presence everywhere. This is the end that we have to attain. Because chanting is the password to connect to the divine within. Chanting is the password to connect to the divine within. For that I must consciously chant, knowingly chant. The name is the link between the devotee and God. It brings the devotee face to face with Him and enables him to realize oneness with Him. Namasmaran is capable of granting the universal vision by which one sees everything as God. When you take the name, you are taking the name of the Lord who dwells in your own heart. So in our sadhana section, first is mind space to be made available for God thought. Second is connecting to the core of our being, either before chanting or while chanting. Again, to emphasize that point, because initially we may not be able to connect, but later on we will gradually able to connect. So he says the name is the link between the devotee and God. It brings the devotee face to face with Him and enables him to realize oneness with Him. Namasmaran is capable of granting the universal vision by which one sees everything as God. When you take the name, you are taking the name of the Lord who dwells in your own heart. This should not be forgotten by us. And he shares his experience. Ramdas, beloved Papa says, Ramdas, through a ceaseless repetition of the divine mantram, side by side with the concentrated meditation on the all-pervading, eternal, ever-blissful, indwelling God, had attained freedom and peace even before his advent into the world as a mendicant. On 27th December, he chose, God made him to choose to lead a life of a mendicant. Even before that, he had attained freedom and peace by this methodology. Methodology is chanting of the name and dwelling on his attributes. This is how he scaled the heights, and that is why he emphatically says about it. So 3 or 4 points, 1, 2, 3 points. Anybody would like to say anything? all are in deep inward journey. So it will take time for them to come out.
Swamiji, how do we recognize the benevolent qualities to be reckoned as God?
How to recognize benevolent qualities as God?
We don't have to struggle or strain. We look at ourselves, especially inside our body, what a powerful functioning is going on without any of our handling. And the mind, when we are seriously on a subject, how does he guide us from deep within? All the innovative ideas, where from he got it? Nobody got it from outside. When they were concentrating upon any particular project at the exclusion of all other things, suddenly they get a breakthrough. Where from it comes?
But it is momentary and not permanent.
We must keep on thinking about what all we have been blessed with. We don't have to go outside. We always think, when we are wearing these specs, when there is no specs in the world, nobody can conceive, because there was nothing called specs. So start thinking, our own life, that is, we have to put ourselves on a level, what all we have been blessed with. Yes.
Right from the morning when we get up, doing our morning work, cutting vegetable, cooking, whatever we are doing, writing Rama, puja, continuously, if we are always thinking of Ram and doing the works that are, can we separate and request for Ram chanting?
So long as we feel, we have to do Ram now. When we hand over to him totally, he will make us to repeat the Ram Nam without our observing it or without our knowledge. Because he has given us a sense of individuality, a sense of freedom, which is called, whatever we do is called self-effort. This self-effort has to be made until we hand ourselves over to him, lock, stock and barrel. Because then as we keep on doing, we know that even the urge to do the self-effort is given by him. It is not separate. Even the chanting, it is done by him. It is not separate. He has given us a thought to dwell on him by chanting his name. So this handing over is the toughest job. Even in the worldly level, we find it difficult to hand over something of ours to somebody, How many times we think. Papa used to narrate one incident in the vision of God. One munsi or magistrate or judge, he was a devotee of Papa. So once he came and he said, when I go for a morning walk, I see somebody for arms lifting. I put my hand in the pocket. I get 1 rupee. 1 rupee means big amount, on those days. 1 rupee not necessary. Half a rupee, 8 annas is enough. If I give 8 annas, suppose he may drink or something like that. Anyway, something has to be given for an hour. She says to Papa, and by the time I give, it will be quarter an hour. So that means to part with our possession. Not that we mean anything bad. That is the nature of possession, it clings to us. So to take it away and give to somebody is the toughest job. Why did we mention this?
He asked if Ramnam specially we should do.
No. He asked something,
When we are,
Swamiji,
what did you ask?
I was asking right from the morning.
Whether there is any need. Yeah, correct.
When you keep on
Yeah,
remembering.
correct. So there is no need. So long as we have got the sense of individuality, so long as we have not handed over, we have to, by His grace, He has given us to do our self-effort. Though self-effort, by self-effort we mean our effort, ultimately we come to know that is also because He is there in us. So there is no self-effort at all. But until we realize that stage or reach that stage, we can use the word self-effort. And this self-effort we do.
Thank you, Swamiji. Hari Om.
Carry on. Anything else?
Swamiji, knowingly or unknowingly, we have accumulated so much of dirt in our mind, no, Swamiji.
Yes.
First, Bhagavan, purity of mind,
Correct.
Without our knowledge, so many things have accumulated.
Yes, you are right.
அது
களையணும் சொல்லிட்டு சொன்னா புரியுமா?
அதுக்குதான் அவரோட கிரேஸ் வேணும்.
அவருடைய கிரேஸ் வேணும்னா அவருடைய ரிமெம்பரன்ஸ் வேணும். So we keep on trying to pray to Him, and He will give us so many opportunities for us to do the cleaning, rubbing and scrubbing, Rubbing and scrubbing, He will give us various opportunities. Though it is painful, we have to do it. Not merely praying. By humbling ourselves to such a degree that we are available to anybody. We are available, all things that are with us are available to. That is the only way by which this impurity can be removed. By telling about impurity, hearing about impurity, it will not be removed. By praying to Him, and then whatever opportunity He gives us, He will place before us. Whether it is self-centered or selfless. If we pass that test, one impurity has gone. The more, suppose we become self-centered, we are accumulating the impurities again and again and again. Though we started to eliminate it, contrary is the result. When the me and mine comes and asserts itself, impurity will naturally get gathered more and more. So you are right, we have to first identify the impurities in us and then we pray to Him. And one more thing you have to add, He will place before us ample opportunities. We try to become receptive, sensitive to such opportunities and try to do silently. This is another, silently.
அந்த particular individualக்கு தான் தெரியும் இல்லையா?
Later, if we become conscious of the fact that we have removed the impurity, again we have not removed the impurity. Vinobaji used to say of the three gunas, Sattva, Rajas, Tamo guna, he said Sattva and Tamo guna to be eliminated. And Sattvic is to be wounded. Wounded. Because we should not become aware that we have become sattvic. If we become aware that we are sattvic, we are not sattvic, We still remember once when we were traveling from Calicut to Kanhangad ashram, many years ago. Somehow, with the passenger was also there sitting nearby. So we were talking about values, value-based education, some course. We were involved in VSET at that time very deeply, conducting camps, interacting with students, teachers, parents. So somehow the word humbleness came. The man who was sitting silently, he immediately looked. Humbleness cannot be created, Because the moment you know that you are humble, you are not humble. Humility is such a state where it is past explanation, we cannot explain. When we see people who are leading a humble life, for example, our Pujya Swamiji's life, every movement of his teaches us what is humility, That is enough. We cannot get a theory or we cannot do a PhD on humbleness. It will be purely an academic exercise. So we have to, those sattvic thoughts are to be there. Pride will come, unknowingly. I have become sattvic. That is why Vinobaji beautifully says, he should be wounded. He should know that even the sattvic mood has been blessed by him. Then it will not raise its head.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. We should know these 2 years of Papa's life, or whatever we are now discussing. It was all intensely gone through by him. So that all these doubts got cleared in his mind in 2 years' time. That is why in the first chapter he said, the electric effect, the books that he was reading, it was not reading session, it was not hearing session, it was not listening session, but it was an absorbing session. It had an electric, what is that word?
Electric atmosphere.
The young plant of Bhakti in Ram was thus nurtured in the electric atmosphere created by the influence of these great men on the mind of humble Ramdas. Electric atmosphere, thrilling atmosphere.
Having his bare feet on Alaknanda river, can't help, cannot
It cannot be explained, It is past explanation, It is a state where we can experience, but we cannot share. So rest of the portion we will take it up tomorrow. Again, never forget about the preparatory measures, points to be pondered on, not as a discipline, but as a step. There are 4 steps, Papa said. Yes, we would like to share 1 more minute. 4 steps. One is to feel his nearness, samipyam. By all these, what he has done to us, what he has been doing to us, what we have been blessed with, this will all give us the nearness, And when we intensify it, we will have his glimpses, presence. Samipyam and Sanidhyam. And again, if we pursue it and we get stabilized in it, the third step is Vyapanam. You know? We see him in everybody. And the final Papa says, becoming one with him, Ekatvam.
Third and fourth?
Ekatvam. Becoming one with him. So let us now try to, at the first stage, of somehow moving nearer to him, who is within us, who is making us to say that you should move towards me. He is not separate. He is the one who is giving us the thought to move towards him. Even then, we are not hearing it. So, Samipyam, Sanidhyam, Vyapanam, Ekatvam. Nearness, presence, seeing his existence in everybody, and then to become one with him. So all these steps, this in-depth study is to put us on these 4 lines. So if we have not covered even the first, we have to intensify it. Am I moving closer to him who is within me? Have I started feeling the glimpse of him? Have I started something in others that is common in me? So these are the 4th one we cannot say. So let us get more and more clarity on these words. Samipyam and Sanidhyam. The other one will take care later. So the Samipyam, am I moving towards him? Am I getting the feeling, am I feeling the experience that I am moving towards him? He is even providing this initiative in us. Please think over this seriously.
Yes, Swami.
That is the ultimate aim. That is the purpose for which he initiated this in-depth study of Inquest of God during this centenary year. Let us be very, very clear about it. Hari Om. Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om
Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram, Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Ram.
Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om
Shri Ram, Jai Ram,
Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram
Hari Om, Swami. Pranam.
Om Shri Ram Jai Ram Jai Jai Ram. Hari Om to everybody. Pranam, pranam. Namaskaram. Namaskaram, namaskaram. Pranam, pranam. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.
Namaskaram, Swamiji.
Namaskaram, namaskaram.
Shri Ram Jaya Jaya Ram 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 Shri Ram Jaya 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 Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram 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 Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram 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 Om Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram Om Shri Ram